All right, I think we are live, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. I am Nikia Hopkins Sullivan, also known as the Hype Educator, and I am here to help you perform exceptionally. Now, tonight, woo, it's going to be a night. We are diving into a conversation that's long overdue and one that could absolutely shift how we see the future of education. Let me ask you something. When you picture an elementary school, especially teachers, what do you see? In fact, you could put it in the chat because more than likely you saw a woman and you wouldn't be wrong. But that's exactly why we're here tonight because representation matters, because stereotypes need to be broken, and because having more male educators in K through 12 schools isn't just a bonus, it is a necessity for our students, especially our boys. So tonight's live is called Why We Need More Men in Education, and we're about to unpack how male educators can transform classrooms, mentor young minds, and bring a powerful presence that our schools desperately need. And I couldn't have this conversation without a hype, strong, brilliant, boots on the ground male educator joining me. So let's bring in the one and only Mr. E, assistant principal, motivator, and living proof that men in education make a difference every single day. Woo! Let me press my buttons. Hold on, hold on. I'm about to bring him in. Bring him in. Mr. E.
And the crowd went crazy.
Woo!
They're on their feet cheering right now.
They're cheering. They're cheering. They are.
What's going on? What's going on, Hype Educator?
Listen, Mr. E, I'm bringing you in because you are also a hype educator. You are hype. I couldn't do it without you, okay?
I think that energy when we first, what did you feel when you first got introduced to Mr. E and the family? What was your takeaway?
Listen, he's a hype educator.
He's hyped.
And this is the funny thing. This is what's really funny. Every time we're at a family function, anything, no, this is how you know a hype educator. We're doing something else, could be dancing, talking, whatever. We're always going to stop and talk about what? Education. Because that's our passion.
What else?
And that's why we are here now, because I will have to admit, Mr. E kind of scolded me a little bit because I had not posted on YouTube in a minute. The girls were a little busy.
Yeah. You're like me though. You're like me though, Hype. I took a break too. I had to take a break. As a matter of fact, I am still on hiatus. You brought me out. You dug me up. You brought back the dead. So
come on.
I know my I know my family's like, wait a minute, where has he been?
See, so here we are. This is us. We're ready.
This is a good time. Yeah.
And we're back. And I knew that once I came back, the first show was going to be alive. And I said, I'll do it if you come on with me. Thank you.
Look, hey, I can resist that temptation, especially on this topic. Especially on
yes.
This topic. Yeah.
Why we need more men in education. So I have some notes, I'm a notes person.
All right, you're a teacher. That's right. Yep. You're getting ready to have your class right now.
Yes, got my coffee.
Yeah, you're hyped. You are hyped.
All day. Okay. So here we go. So now we're just talking. I think some of you know who I am.
Conversation.
However, let's talk about you, okay? We just want to get to know a little more about you.
Okay.
So introduce yourself, please, and tell us, what inspired you to be in education.
Well, presently, I am an assistant principal at a middle school. So that journey started, back on the farm, back in the day, when we used to play. Remember, we used to play house. Kids don't play house no more. Okay, we play mom and daddy. We did all of that. We played doctor. They don't play that no more. We play school as well.
Yes.
So something was up because every single time I wanted to be the teacher, I wanted to be the principal, I wanted to be the one that at the head of the school, even like 7 years old, but got away from it. I think most people will kind of attest to this. You know when God puts something in you,
Okay.
it's like being pregnant. You know, I can relate because that's how
Yes.
I felt. So, but all those years, I never acknowledged what I was carrying.
What it was.
So I
Mm-hmm.
took other routes, and then I came back. So my wife eventually said to me after I stopped complaining about how awful my job was, I'm sick of my job. I'm not going to work tomorrow. She was like, "Oh yes, you are going to work tomorrow.
Yes, you are.
You should have got
Yeah,
us in this
bills to
mortgage.
pay.
You got us in this mortgage. You going to work." But I hated my job, right? Even though I was working for UPS, I was wearing the brown.
Oh, you had
Bleeding
the brown on?
bleeding the brown blood. I was
Okay.
bleeding brown blood. Still, that was not it. That wasn't working. So eventually I heard my wife, and I say this to men that may be out there listening who maybe think their chance have come and gone.
Mm-hmm.
I went back to school at the age of 45. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm sitting up in class, but what was good is that it was a alternative type of situation. So when I went back to school, I had heard my pastor say, "What God got for you, you're gonna have to go back and get some paper."
Yes.
That was kind of vague. Paper? What kind of paper?
What
So
kind?
it was like, go get that degree, bro.
Okay.
So I went back, still didn't know what I was gonna do. I just still waited 6 months later, and here I am, still waiting. So another friend of mine said, "So what are you waiting on?"
Mm-hmm.
I was scared. I don't know. I mean, I didn't even want to tell
Change.
anybody.
It's that
I didn't even
change.
want to tell anybody that I was going to elementary education, right? Me,
Okay.
a truck driver. So how you transition from a truck driving job to an elementary school teacher? So I kept it on the DL for a while. And finally, when I said it out loud, it just changed my whole trajectory.
Understand.
My life changed, and I embraced it. So it's been a journey, and we'll talk a little bit about that journey. But I am so thankful that I had the upbringing I had to bring me to this place I am today, because all of those values, is what made me the hype teacher, believe it or not.
Listen, this is so funny hearing your story, because when I was little, I lined up all my dolls and I was the teacher. Never thought that I would be a school teacher, because I
Right.
only thought I would be.
Who would have thought I'd be a
dancing.
principal? I mean, really. Come on.
Listen.
My teachers, I told one of my teachers that I was a principal. She laughed her head off.
And you're a great one.
She probably in her grave laughing right now. I can't believe this boy is a. I
If she
gave
could
my
see you
teachers such a
now,
hard
now
time.
you're an
I was
administrator.
the
See?
worst. But I that's why I have so much patience for these kids today, because I remember
Right.
how I was.
You
with my
know.
teachers. I know.
And
But-
you know what? And I'm going to say this too. And I love that you said you went back to school at a later age, because my first degree was business. And that was just so I could manage my dance school. I went back at 39. I remember turning 40 and I said, I am actually going back to school. Thought I would be finished. Then went back again. So
next level. I mean, it was next level. I mean, the whole world opened up. I mean, you know how sometimes we can miss what God has for us by trying to go and run and grab something else. And we're not
trying to make our own story. He has it laid out.
Our own journey matters more than being aligned with your vision. We talked about that.
Yes.
Being aligned with the vision.
The vision. I love it.
Yeah, get the vision.
All right, so here we go.
Did that answer your question? I mean, I didn't go into all. Look, I didn't go into all the details.
No,
we're gonna keep some
secrets. That for another show.
We're gonna keep some secrets. Okay, we're gonna keep some secrets. Okay.
Okay. So with that being said, we said why we need more men in education. And I even said, if you walk into an elementary school, you're definitely probably going to just see a few male teachers. You see a little bit more trickling in middle school.
If any, though. If any.
If any. You're absolutely right. See,
if any. Other than a coach, maybe a coach.
Maybe a coach.
Maybe.
Exactly it.
And
You're
even then, sometimes those are female coaches. Shout out to my female coaches, but I'm just
saying. No, we love it, but we're just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the thing, because I'm all about balance, because I already feel like, we don't have enough sometimes women in corporate world and different things. But then in education, we're like, but where are the men? Where are they? So how does it feel when you're walking into a building and it's just a few men there? You're one of them.
I put my crown on. I felt like a king.
And I can see that.
I was. Let me tell you something. You talk about how my swag changed. It changed,
Yes.
but
I agree.
in a good way. I
Yes.
mean, so appreciated, so respected.
Good.
Felt. I be honest with you, because I was aligned with my vision finally.
Okay.
Because I think I got my first teaching assignment when I turned like 40. I was close to 50 almost. No, 45. 45, then I went
45. Okay.
47. So when I was a mature guy, mature, married, settled in who I was,
Yes.
not trying to find myself. I was actually actively, intentionally being myself. So
Yes.
I really was just shocked at the fact that there wasn't any more of me around. And this started in 2001, right? So the culture had changed a lot, and people were becoming more aggressive about what they would want to do. Identity roles and professions were changing. You start seeing male nurses and all of that. So
Yes.
I'm like, where are the men in elementary? I know why. Because I was there. I know why
Yeah.
they're not there. They're not there
Yeah.
because they're not sure of who they are.
Who they
But
are.
yeah, right. Because I try to recruit all my nephews. I try to recruit every young guy, and they would tell me that I tried to recruit my own child. He was like, "Dad, I don't
Did
want to do that.
you?
I don't want to be with them bad kids." I said, "Jordan, God don't make bad kids. They make bad choices.
That's right. They just made some bad,
You don't
but
make
you're
bad
here.
kids. They make
You're
bad
here to help
choices."
lead and guide
Yeah,
them,
he
right?
was still not trying to hear that. So, I'm still on that mission in recruiting as many as I can, because
Yes.
elementary is where it's at. I mean,
Yes.
if you want
Start
to
early.
grow if you want to grow in your identity, those parenting instincts will come in handy so much with those little kids, the little ones. I don't call them little kids. I mean, I call them, those kids to me, I kind of like my little bright ones. I call them bright ones,
Okay.
because they were the ones that was going to be taking on the future, right? So those are the ones you got to try to reach first.
Yes. And I call them my leaders all the time. My
All
leaders,
the
my
time,
leaders.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That was my bright one. I didn't treat them like they were babies.
Okay.
I did
All right.
not.
So now, here we go. Can you think of a moment when you realized your presence made an impact on children because you were one of the few male educators in the building?
Yeah, yeah. I think the
Think
first
about it.
time that I saw that impact, and which confirmed that I should be doing what I'm doing,
Okay.
uh, I was actually, I hadn't did my student teaching yet, right?
Okay.
So therefore, my skills was not sharpened.
Mhm.
But I ended up getting a teaching assignment as a permanent sub, right? In a building at Bowie Elementary with Dr. Bowie. Not Bowie Elementary, but it was Winbrook, the first
Okay.
magnet school in Atlanta. Got an
Hmm.
assignment there, in God good. So
Yes, he is.
I got the cream of the crop school, brand new school, scared as I don't know what. So, but I was with a fourth grade class.
Mm-hmm.
The class were predominantly boys, right? It was like maybe 7 girls, and it was maybe 12 boys.
Okay.
And I knew then, because what
Mhm.
those little boys needed,
Yes.
they needed somebody, not to be their dad, not to
Yes.
be their uncle. They needed a male figure that was going to show them some love and respect. And
Mm.
because I know that kids need the respect that we don't sometimes give them because of
Give
their
them.
age.
Yes.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Their age kind of
Uh-huh.
like make us feel like we can treat them any kind of way
But
and just
no,
tell them to shut up and go sit down somewhere
if you want respect, you need to show respect,
and
even
practice
to
it.
children.
Give out what you want.
Yes.
That's the Bible teaching. Give what you want to
Yes.
give. So
Mm-hmm.
when I think about that experience and seeing those little boys' faces every day, how they were so ready for me to come to school every day, I couldn't miss school. I could not.
Yes.
They called me out every time I missed school. And we had that sub, and you wouldn't hear.
Right. Where is he?
I had the flu.
Oh, and they're calling. Where is he?
Yeah, I had very good, very good, very good parent relationships. So
Okay.
at that point, I knew I was on the right track.
Okay. So now let's go into stereotypes because I heard you kind of mention something. So in education, stereotypes, especially elementary, but it's often looked at like teachers being a woman's job.
Right.
What do you have to say to that?
If you're a man and you have a family, you are a teacher. So
Say
I
it.
don't think that you is sitting there like letting your wife do all of the educating your children. I hope not. Please, God, no.
Please don't.
Because
Right.
see, that's really that's where it starts, especially if you're a married man and you're about
Yes.
business, you're about standing on business, no caps. You need to be your teacher right there. Your teacher is your first, your parents are the first teachers. Uh,
Yes.
so when I go in classrooms, I'm always thinking about what is it about my parenting skill that's going to help amplify my pedagogy. What's going to make that pedagogy come to life? It's those parenting skills that I learned when I was raising my own child. You see what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
So I was a leader then. I was a teacher then. Because I taught
Yes.
my son phonics. I mean, my son learned to read, hooked on phonics. I never forget.
Hooked on phonics works for me.
Yeah, work for me. So when we got hooked on phonics together,
Mhm.
I was learning, he was learning.
Yes.
So couldn't teach me no math, but I taught him some ELA. So
Yes. That's my area, ELA. Yes.
so I said that to say this, Hype. We
Mhm.
need more men to start taking that leadership role at home first.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Even if you're a son, there are things that you can do to support your parents to help out and start learning how to lead. Right?
Yes. Agreed. Oh,
Yeah.
that was awesome. Okay. Okay. So now here's another thing that we see in schools. Okay. We're still looking at
But
breaking the
before we leave that, hang on, Hype.
yeah,
Before we leave that,
go
I
ahead.
got because you said something that kind of like we need to kind of like unpack a little bit
Okay.
stereotypes about
Mhm.
men in certain roles, uh,
Yes.
because we men kind of like that they think that's a feminine role. Am I correct? That's
Because of
elementary
nurturing, but aren't men supposed to be nurturers as well?
at home,
It's okay.
starting at home,
Right.
starting at home.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and see, and the thing about it is that okay, what we apply that same rule to a doctor. Okay, when you got what you tell female doctors, this is a male role. You ain't got no business here. You right?
Right.
What you tell female lawyers that this is a men's job. You ain't got
Mm-hmm.
no business here. You can't be respected like men are, and that do happen. It do.
Yes. It does happen.
Right. And so even to the point of being a principal at an elementary school, normally it's looked at this is a female role.
Right.
And you've seen it a lot that most elementaries have female I almost said pastors have female principals.
Yes.
But those women are so strong, and I learned so much from those women. So that's why I don't like to define roles, male, female.
I agree.
Get away from the gender and look at the
Yes.
work, look at the strength that comes from the person that's doing the work. Uh,
Yes.
we have I mean, we look at the 888 I mean, and how those women define that time by doing that work. Not even though all of the struggles they had, with
Yes.
being in that culture and being women of color, and then going to the military during World War I. I mean, that
Yes.
whole stereotyping, it need to be put to rest. Get rid
Has
of
to
it.
go. It
Let's
has
let
to
people
go.
judge folk by the work they do.
Yes. And see, that leads into this next part, which is oftentimes men in education, they're used to be the disciplinarians of the school. Right. Oftentimes, even if it could be the teacher, if they see a male,
Yeah.
they're like, Mr. So and so's gonna get you. I'm gonna send you to Mr. This and that's class.
Mr. E gonna said they Mr. E
Mr.
me all day
E,
long. I
what
was
you
Mr.
want to go see Mr. E?
Yeah, yeah.
So the way I feel about that is sometimes though that could put a negative spin on how kids
Of
view
course it
men.
does. Of course it
Right.
does. You giving away your power. You
Exactly.
giving away your power.
Because the way I feel is if I told you what to do in this class, you need to respect what I'm saying just
what
as
you
much as
saying.
you're going to respect my male counterpart. So I'm not going to use the male teacher as that's a disciplinarian. He's going to get you. You don't want to do that.
No,
So
because it's sending the wrong message. First of all, you know as well as I do in elementary, you better try to get that discipline under control yourself, because
yes,
you're gonna be with that group of kids. I don't know whether do you all at your school, do y'all self-contained, or do y'all
we're departmentalized, and I actually have a male co-teacher.
go, man? See that man
Yes,
right there
he's
is on
awesome.
point. Tell Mr. E said, you know, well done. He
I
couldn't be
sure
with
will.
he couldn't be with a better educator.
Yes, and he's awesome. Yes.
I know y'all iron sharpen iron, don't you? Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh yes. We
Dynamic
work very
duo.
well together.
Yes. And tell Chris he better not say nothing.
Oh, Chris, we talk on the phone about sports because he's an Alabama fan, and you know, Chris is go Bulldogs. So it's come on now.
Yeah. So it's a good match. So don't use discipline. Don't use men for that, because men are capable of nurturing as well. And most of the time it's a nurture issue instead of a nature issue. You know what I mean? It's a nurture. If you can get to that child's soul and start speaking to that child's soul and de-escalating even before it get to whoever the principal is, you've done your work. I mean, we all know they need to be in that room anyway. So
because that's where the learning is.
That whole thing about sending them out all the time, that's old news. No, you got to come up with some discipline strategies of your own.
You got to find something.
I can turn you on.
When I call, that means it has to be something crazy going on.
And there's a conspiracy against young boys too when it comes to discipline. Because it's almost like the discipline is supposed to be harsher. You know, I'm making you a man, you know, by breaking your back. I'm making you a man by demoralizing you. I'm making you a man by calling you out your name, but the one that your parents didn't give you. You know, so they make that boy feel intense, and that intense gonna go somewhere, and somebody else gonna get that anger. Somebody else gonna come out. So they're gonna be mad, but they can't do a thing about it.
Right, exactly. You know what? We actually have, before we go to the next part, because we're about to go into the impact on our young boys having male teachers and educators, I have somebody in the back room who wanted to talk about stereotypes. Actually know this person. Hey.
Hello.
Are you?
I was getting ready to say she's trying to take your voice. She's trying to take your voice from you.
This is another educator right here. I know you. Okay.
Welcome.
What are your thoughts, Louis?
Well, actually, I'm a retired educator. As
been there, did that. Got the T-shirt.
I just don't have it on today, but yes, I do have the T-shirt.
Yeah, I've been there. Stay where you are. Don't come out unless God tell you to.
But first, please excuse where I am. I'm totally relaxed today, but I said I wanted to come on and join in.
That is the vibe. Look, men hype been out. I've been in summer school today.
Me too.
So when I got home, I said, you know what, I'm gonna chill for a minute, and then I'm gonna look forward to the live. And I'm good. So you're good. You're in good company.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So, Louis, what are your thoughts as far as breaking the stereotypes with men being in education?
So I do feel that we need more male figures in education. And I've been listening to, as she said, I was backstage, but I was listening to what you all were talking about as it was relating to discipline. And I do strongly believe that, you as a female should be able to control your class, regardless of what is going, whether it's a boy or a girl. But at the same time, I also feel that in addition to that, the male could be a positive entity to that, because you could work tag team, because we do have those males that, don't have positive females in their lives.
Exactly.
Some boys don't have the positive male role model in their life. So it's like they're caught between, do I respect the female? Do I respect the male? And so, yes, while you're maintaining the discipline in your class, you can have that male teammate to come in and be like, hey, you know what I'm saying? You're doing the right thing, but then be that positive male role model.
See, that's how my co-teacher is. He's like that.
Not coming in to take over, or not coming in to be like, oh, you're going to fear me and not your female teacher.
Like I said, don't give away your power. Now, use that male figure as one that you, first of all, the child has a relationship with. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Don't just send your child to a random male. That male could be broken. He could be broken. And then he would break that child's spirit out. Don't
Yes.
send them to random males. Send them to, because just being a male today, I mean, come on, that can be
That doesn't
defined.
mean-
You don't know what the definition of a male is
Right.
no
Right.
more, but you're
Yes.
going to judge that tree by the fruit it bear. We know what it is, but society
Yes.
has definitely redefined. So
Yes.
what you want is to send that child, male or female child, to somebody that's safe as
Yes.
a male, you know, who is going to take the time to not only nurture, but bring about the correct discipline at the same
Correct.
time to fit whatever that was, whatever that
Yes.
child was, you know, sent there for. Sometimes it's just maybe just for them to just chill out and just get away from that environment.
And reset.
And me, you know, normally I got me one of these in my room. All right. So this little book is called this, you know, I'm a prolific child. I am a child at heart when it comes to literature. I read children's books all the time. So many good messages. This is the Purple Tractor. This is about being different. This little tractor was shoved around, pushed around, bullied, because who wants a purple tractor? Just like telling a girl, you know, you ugly, you this, you that, or a boy, you this, you that, and coming at them for their looks.
Yes.
This book, I turn them on to this book, and I talk to them about identity. Everybody got a purpose, whether you're a purple tractor or not. Go out and be your best self. Go back to that room and be your best self. Now, did I say?
So now they leave with a message.
Did I lead? Did they go to ISS? Did they go to OSS? Did I sit up there and go up and down and up and down, in and out, destroying their character? No, they got a positive message. We talked about why they was there, but here is what they was really looking for: somebody to help build their self-esteem. Wow. Most kids get in trouble because they have such a low self-esteem, and they want somebody just to like them and appreciate them. That's all.
And what I was going to add to that, not to cut you off.
No, you good. You good,
Mr. E. But in conjunction to what you were saying, you know, even though we as women can be strong disciplinarians, at the end of the day, we're not men. So I can't talk to you like a man. I can only talk to you like a woman.
You can try, but it ain't gonna land right.
Right.
It's not gonna land right.
Right. But there are things that you as a man can talk to a boy about. It could be, you know, sports. It could be things that you're going through, you know, from a male's perspective. It could be anything that I don't know about. Right. You know, I have a son myself, and you know,
how old is your son? How old is he?
He will be 22 next week. And so and he just graduated from Auburn with a degree in psychology.
You just say that's my baby, don't you?
That's my baby. That's my baby. But you know, when we have conversations, I always tell him, like, I'm talking to you from a female's perspective, but your dad can talk to you about this same thing or something different from a male's perspective. You know, and I think that's the same thing within the
there is a reason why we have the male and the female species, because that's what it takes to bring another human in the world, right? So they need to be nurtured from both. You know, not so much because for me, my dad was a very hard disciplinary. Y'all want to know the truth? I'm finna keep it 100 with y'all. I could not stand my dad.
Oh, it was that hard.
Just mentioning his name made my chest wanted to just, you know what I'm saying? Because he did not know how to nurture. All he knew was the discipline. That's all he knew. Yes. But my dad was a loving dad. But when it came to that discipline, he would beat you down and felt nothing of it. And we would be mad with my mama because she would let him do it. Like, mama would sit there and ain't gonna say nothing.
That was a partnership.
But she would get us back in the room and pet us like little babies. You know?
That's what we do. That's what
y'all do.
We do.
That's what y'all do. But you're right. We need both. You got to have both, and that is why that is so important to have those men in that building. I don't care if it's the custodian. We got to get away from this. Only male straight leadership is like at the principal level, at the instructional level. No, look in our building, we have custodians, and those kids build relationships, and they build relationships with them. Yeah, that's another safe place. You know, when you send them, like the custodian say, "Well, wait a minute, hold up, what are you doing in that bathroom?" You know, they respect that.
They
and they
do.
put the vaporware and come out of there. I'm in
Oh,
middle school, by the way. I'm in middle school. Y'all ain't got y'all babies ain't doing vaping yet. But
no,
that's
they're
another.
not doing.
Hey,
Well,
we
you
need
know
to talk.
what?
We
I've
need to
heard
do
of
a live
elementary
on that.
schools
Yeah,
where
we
it
need to
is
do a
happening.
live on that because y'all will be amazed at what's going on.
Oh well,
You
I
will
have
be amazed at what's
in middle
going on in elementary.
I bet you, because let me tell you something. That's where it starts.
It
That's
starts
why.
there,
That's why this conversation is so
and
important.
that's why this is crucial.
Yeah, that's why
Exactly.
this is so important. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you don't like, I'm a gardener, right? And so when
Mhm.
I plant. Normally, I try to plant seeds. Seeds help you see the process of the little bitty shoot coming out the ground, right? And it
Right.
needs so much nurturing to keep growing to the full plant. And that's how it is with our kids. But what we'll do with these little kids, if we're not careful, we'll chop them down, dig them up before they even get a chance to grow. And by the time they get to be an adult, they are so damaged
They are.
because so much has happened over the course of their life where
Mhm.
nobody took the time to see them, to really see them.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And you want to know at the end of the day, you made a positive impact on the child. And
Yeah.
then, but we need it to be more than just women doing that in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I'm finna be controversial right now, kid.
okay, go ahead.
You gotta have men that know who they are, not some man that's with this image of what you think I'm supposed to be.
Okay.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you women know that y'all can appreciate a strong man,
Uh-huh.
right? Y'all can appreciate a strong leader,
Okay.
but y'all not gonna be wanting to fool with nobody that's been abusive. I don't care how strong a leader you are.
No, you're right.
You can lead out there in that school all you want, but when you
Mhm.
get home, you want that leadership to be just as solid. You don't want to
Yes.
come home to a broken man all the time. So
Right.
what I would love to encourage young men particularly, and late bloomers like myself as well, make sure that you get your stuff together before you go trying to input in kids.
That's
Because
for the women and men.
you can make or break those kids. You can either
Mm-hmm.
send them to the left or you can send them to the right. You can send them down the right road or you can send them the wrong way based on your behavior.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's women and men. Definitely.
Because
Yes.
leadership can go either way. People think
Mm-hmm.
they're not leaders. Yeah, everybody's a leader. Because
Yes.
you're gonna be doing something that somebody gonna follow. And that's what a leader is,
Yes.
right? Those kids that's
Yes.
vaping, those are leaders. They leading those kids to vape. And then
Yes.
those kids gonna lead other kids to vape. They
Other
are
kids do
leaders.
the
They're just
same. Mhm.
leading the wrong way. And
Mm-hmm.
you
Yep.
can lead the wrong way.
Yep.
If you up there just don't know how to, if you're a male and you just think that degree is all you need to be in that classroom, you're wrong.
No, it's more than that. More than
Mm-hmm.
that.
Because when you
Oh,
step into that classroom, those babies become yours.
They
So,
are yours.
for me, I only birthed two, but when I go in there, I have what, 20, 22,
yes.
When I
26,
tell
whatever I
you,
have.
you start taking on that parenting when you really care and when you're dedicated.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They do become your kids, and you take
I tell
personal.
them I'm your mama while you're in my class.
What happened to
Mm-hmm.
them? It's almost like when I was in first grade, I taught kindergarten, then I taught first grade. Well, people said when they would see me coming down the hall with my kid, they was like, "Here come their daddy and them little ducks." Them little ducks was lined up in a row right
Yes.
behind me. I'm like, you know how ducks imprint on on their
Yes.
parents? Those kids imprinted on me. I couldn't get
Yes.
rid of them.
Those
So
are your babies.
those are my babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my
Because you
babies.
can't, and they feel like they're, almost like your extended children.
And the thing,
Because
yeah,
you come home and you're trying to like
yeah,
release, and you're
yeah,
still thinking, especially if a child had a bad day or something rough is going on, you're still thinking about that when you get home. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, what can I do to help this baby tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Or even if they had a wonderful moment, or they're telling you about, I'm in basketball, I do gymnastics. You're trying to figure out, I may go see their gymnastics meet. I may,
exactly,
so
exactly.
they
Mm-hmm.
are.
Because I deal with dual sports at my school, being at the middle. So that's one of the great things about being at a middle school.
Yes.
You get to go to the games and the cheerleaders and all of the other clubs and
I
stuff. So
would be
it's
a mess.
a
I
lot of
would be a
activity
mess.
for them. It was you'll
I
be a
would
mess.
be a
I
mess.
can see your dance team right now.
You know?
Wait a minute.
Ooh,
But ladies, let me ask y'all this question. So
okay.
in you all's district, what's the percentage at elementary? What's the percentage of males uh, that y'all think that is?
You know what? This is a great question. And matter of fact, anybody who's watching, I would love for them to comment too, like how many males they have seen in their children's school or in their school. But as far as teachers are concerned, like I could even just say my hallway, there's one. On the hallway, the other
That's
hallway,
on fifth. That's on
none.
fifth. That's
That's
on
fourth
fifth.
and fifth grade.
Fourth and fifth.
Third grade, there's
Mm-mm.
none.
Okay.
Second
There's
grade,
none on
there's
fourth grade.
no.
Mm-hmm.
We have a few like paras, music teacher is
Mm-hmm.
male.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
We have
I'm
a
trying to
para
think
for
who's
a
in the
coach.
classroom though.
No,
Yeah,
one.
it's not that
It's just
many.
one.
Hmm.
It's
You know,
just
I
one.
do believe it's because of the stereotypes.
You know what? Okay, I'm gonna say something else. I think you all tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, but this is another stereotype right here. I also think, we always talk about pay with teachers, but I think that is a part of it as well because, we have the stereotype of men being breadwinners and this and that. In
Right.
education, when you first start off, your pay is what it is. Now, I will say this. If you stay in education long enough, you will reap it. You'll see the benefits.
You
You
will.
can make $100,000. You really
Your
can.
good work will not go unnoticed, and you will be
Exactly.
rewarded
So
for it.
you have to put in time. Now we're
Right.
not like a job where because I'm showing in my performance, I get a raise. Or, that's not happening in education. So if you're not patient enough to wait so many years to see the increase in that pay, then I think that is another reason why males tend to not
Yeah.
be in
Go to
education.
education because
I think that's
because at Valdosta State, right, we would go over there during the recruiting season, right, and
mhm.
so we would always have our little table set up, JLO Elementary. We get maybe 2 bites and a nibble. You look over there at Valdosta Middle, you look over there at Valdosta High. I mean, they are in lines over there, male
Wow.
teachers. So we would go over there and try to pull some of the guys over there with us, right? Like, hey, y'all come over
Mhm.
here. We,
Yeah.
we need help too, right? But
Yes.
I think a lot of it is the fact that most men, I feel like most men can nurture at that level, but I think they think that it's the stereotyping of that's a woman's job type of deal,
Yes.
and let the women take care of the babies. Well, then we do that, then we're not going to have that strong child that we know we can nurture because
Mhm.
they haven't seen. And I'm not even talking about seeing men that look like them. How y'all feel about that? That it should be men that look like them. I got mixed feelings about that. So I start recruiting every male I can get because I got
Okay.
mixed feelings about men who look like them. What y'all think about that?
No, that is a good one because that was one of my next questions. I
You
was
was
about to
okay.
ask, like, no, that's a good
I'm
one. Like,
hyped.
how
You
do
know I'm
young
hyped.
boys
So I'm gonna way
respond?
past you. Okay.
No, that's good. No, this is good. Like, how do young boys respond to seeing themselves in you?
Oh, so
Because
you flipping it back on me?
I'm flipping it back on you. Because
Okay.
here's the thing, we know, okay, for instance, I know that in my classroom, I am able to give them that motherly love. May already get it at home. You're going to get extra from me. If you don't get it, you will get that from me. I'm giving
Yeah.
them all the nurturing, all that, and I'm teaching you this ELA reading. You're going to learn to read and write, all of that in between. But again, kids are also missing that male presence and being able to, the boys, especially our boys, they need to be able to
Yeah.
see themselves in
Yeah.
someone else
I'm gonna tell you.
because,
I'm gonna tell you what a positive impact it had, though,
okay, tell me.
because those boys saw me, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I had my degree on my wall in my room, right? That was a part of my display in my classroom with the degrees that I had earned, right? So it was
Yes.
always for discussion. How did you get that degree? Where did you get that? So because they never connect that you don't sit up there in blood, sweat, and tears.
No. You
In
just walked
school
in.
and actually got a degree. They never collect that at the elementary level.
Right.
They just think we just show up. We kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
substitute parent for them. So
Yes.
those boys would begin to get more interested in going to college. Because we in our community, we always pushing sports, right? We
Yes.
love to push our boys to play football, basketball, and track. We love to push them to that, but we don't push them to the academia, right? We don't push
Right.
them to the intelligent mind. So, so with those boys, I was like a wealth of knowledge for sports, right? So I would just
Yes.
tell them stuff that they didn't know. I would do math problems that they didn't know how to solve, and I would always use something from the headlines, somebody's statistics. Let's round that dollar, $1 million to the nearest million.
Yes.
So let's do that. they enjoyed that. So that showed them the application of a male talking their language,
Yes.
going into their world, but
Yes.
wrapping a math skill all around it. So then they start enjoying that. So I start seeing boys talk about that they wanted to be educators. They wanted to be educators.
This is what I'm
So I mean, it's
saying.
gonna be
Yeah.
interesting to see, because I got a group that's coming out of college next year. They'll be coming out of college next year. As a matter of fact, one of my students from the charter school in Atlanta just got
Mm-hmm.
his doctorate in education.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Boy, it's
Wow.
brilliant. So it's an impact that you can have, but you got to know what your identity is about.
Mm-hmm.
And don't take for granted those little souls that's sitting in front of you, that they are looking to you.
They
Now,
are.
did my color matter? I can't say it did. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was appreciated, but I
Yeah.
think they looked at the male version on
Mm-hmm.
this level, being able
Yes.
to deliver those instructions like that. Because I had Spanish kids too that loved me. They love Mr. E. And white
Mm.
kids, they love Mr. E.
Yes.
Their parents love me. So
Mm-hmm.
I would not try to narrow it down to gender
The
or
color.
color. I just think it's whatever you're doing in front of them, make sure it's strong, make sure it
Yes.
connects, make sure it's relevant,
Mm-hmm.
and show them that you love them.
Mhm.
Because you know
Yep.
what, even like thinking, they always say that, I know the trend, I can't remember, I read an article, but it's trending where girls are now outperforming boys
I
in
know, I
school
read that.
education. Yes. So I'm also thinking a lot of it too can be because, when you have somebody there who like you're inspired by and you're like looking at them like, oh, okay, I don't want to disappoint them. It makes you, try harder. If we had maybe more men in the school, I'm just wondering if the young boys would also see education is important for boys too. Because look at this teacher. You mentioned how they saw your degrees and they asked you about it. I know I have my students ask me, but see, when they
Yeah,
see men
it
doing
was
this,
relevant. I mean, it
yeah, it
was
was
real
relevant.
time. It was real time. It was real
Yeah.
time information with a real
Mhm.
individual standing in front of them. Miss Lewis,
Yes.
you was about to say something.
I actually was going to ask you a question, because we're kind of talking about men in the schools, but and they could be in different capacities. And so how do we get men to stay in the classrooms? Because we need them on both. We need the males on the
Yeah,
admin
I'm tell
level,
you,
but we
I'm campaigning for the classroom. I'm gonna tell you what I'm campaigning for.
Okay, because it seems as if those males that come into the school, they teach for a few years and then they move on out of the classroom and then they become administrators,
Mhm.
and then the women are the ones that are left in the classroom because they come in and they move on up. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying there's something
Mhm.
wrong with moving up, but how do we get those to move
True.
on up, but get those to stay in the classroom as well?
See,
Because
I'm
and
gonna
and
take.
no,
Go
I,
ahead,
I
Miss
was just
Lewis.
gonna
I'm
I
sorry.
was just gonna say that, and it's not, because even as an administrator, you have your job that you have to do. And so
Right.
you're out there, but then you kind of have to go back in and do what you're supposed to do on the admin level. But that teacher is who they see all the time.
Every day,
Consistent.
all
Yes.
day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And
I
that.
think that's important. Like her teammate, they see him all the time. Whereas the custodian, you see him every now and then, depending on where you are. The
Exactly.
administrator, wherever you are. So how do
Yeah.
you think that could be changed within education, where we get more in the classroom and those that don't necessarily want to just move on out? I mean, I get it, but it still
I
is.
know. And you might want to ask, well, Mr. E, what made you stick? I mean, what was the
Yeah.
glue for you? Uh, First of all, I believe teaching is a calling. I mean,
Yes.
you can get a degree, yeah, but you can't degree that gift. That gift is really from God, so that gift needs to be developed. And I think that we are doing a very poor job in developing, including female teachers. A lot of those guys leave because they lose interest in the political aspects of schools, and how they don't be moving in a relevant way that caters to men in education. Education caters definitely to the female. Y'all know I'm right. Come on, nod y'all
Yes.
head along
Yep.
me.
No, it's right.
Yep.
It
But I
Every
does.
am
book,
noticing.
every book, you very seldom see men in front of the classroom.
Right.
So
No, but
there
I
again,
am
back to that
seeing
stereotype.
but I am seeing that they want the men to come. in some aspect. And again, because I told you my son just graduated with a degree in psychology, and it's like they want him. They want him because he's
I'll be
a
trying to
black
recruit him
male.
too. I would.
But see, we got to keep them in the classroom. We want more in the class.
Because let me tell you something. I mean, this generation is so key to the progress for these kids, because this is a digital age, right? So, so your son is probably so inept and in depth with the digital brain, right? So these kids have a digital brain. Instead of us learning how to use that to our advantage, we have people in there trying to shoot it down. Like, these kids, they stay on their phones too much. They always texting. They love social media. Well, so do grown people. Right. So they're learning it from us. So why don't you take that digital brain and your son and men like him? Can you imagine what they would do if they were educated with that technology savvy?
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know they would take gaming to another level when they start introducing skills?
You're right.
Instead of just letting them play games and get points, just start wrapping the math and the ELA around gaming. You know, like kind of like how math wrapped skills around the stock market.
Right.
You know, that type of thing where kids get engaged. So that's what I use in 5th grade. And I had not one kid. I don't believe in ones. I don't. Nope.
Right.
And shout out to you, Miss Hype, with all of them 2s and 3s.
3s and 4s.
Hype. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's hype. So when you wrap skills around and make the experience about things, I think men could do that so much better, because we used to working with our hands. We were created to make tools, right?
But I think we need to show how men can use that in the classroom so that they can see, like,
that's what's missing.
Well.
Men would see if men were taken and develop their true nature pedagogy, like instead of always telling kids about how bad technology is, why don't you let them design a computer? Let them go into that computer and redesign something else from it. Get that computer mentality, because you're working with a system, right? So, like, if you take this piece out, if you take out the CPU, what's going to happen? You know, well, it's just like your brain, Mr. E. If you take your brain out, what you think will happen to you? So there again, you just integrated, an abstract without even trying. Yes. You took some basic and you took it to high level to learn it. How men do that is so creative, because we build. So I never forget my 8th grade science teacher when he took us outside and opened up that hood and showed us what was under there. We were so crazy, because we were like, all this stuff under a hood. All of that stuff. But
what class was that? Was that a math class?
It was a math class.
And so, and I'm listening to you, but at the same time, I'm thinking how cool that would be if we could do that, if we were allowed to do, if we had the time to do that.
If we had the time.
Yes.
Because our schedule is like this. So a lot of things I come up with.
Y'all, let me tell you something. Break that cycle. Break that cycle. Break it. Because let me tell you why. Children should be engaged with what they are learning. Like, okay, when I'm telling you about the purple trifle, right? Okay, so it is really is a children's book, but these 8th graders was able to get this book and start reading it, and then I know what I started telling them. I said, guys, guess what? An artist actually drew that picture. Some of y'all are so gifted. Y'all can start thinking about, maybe becoming a book illustrator. I mean, I told them who the guy was. I said, this is art. Right. So that's ways you can introduce stuff without even trying.
Now I do it, and I know I'm guilty of it. I have to even tell my administrators, you may come and do an observation, and I may not be doing exactly how you want.
My administrator was talking about, I don't know what's going on in Mr. E class. I know they learning.
That's me. Listen, people still saying, I heard it.
Miss Lewis, they'll be so crazy in there until we'll be in the acting just the normal. The administrator will stop at the door when he come any like, I'm not going over there. Them children
I make sure the students have a balance now. They have a balance where they know how to sit and be quiet and do their work for independent work, because you have to know how to do this. However,
it should be some lively discussion. It should be lively discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, and they should be on topic what they're discussing. They should be on topic. You should be able to go over there and hear them very high level questioning that they're doing for each other, not me feeding it to them. But you're not going to get that if you don't introduce. Like when I did fractions, I took a big old watermelon in my class. Check that out. I said, okay, how can we get halves?
Right.
Split it down the middle. How can we get 4? Split it another way on the half.
Your world connection.
8. So we did all of that, and then everybody had a piece in the 16th.
Yes.
Everybody had a little 16th. So know what that did? That turned them right on to fractions. Men are able to do that because they are builders. They work with their hands. And I try to tell my female, so those women at Bowie, those women at Data Academy, they would love coming to my class and observe, because they was afraid to introduce stuff where it required them getting out of their boxes and making, I said, y'all can make a cake, and you can teach ingredients, and you can teach the fractional parts from those ingredients. And then you learn in measurements as well. I said, never be afraid to introduce a subject with something.
With something new, and especially technology now too, because like you said, I did that today in summer school. They were using they had to write a response. And
but see, that's why I want men. That's why I want more men in the classroom, because I know what they're gonna do. They're gonna flip their pedagogy. They're gonna flip their pedagogy. They're gonna flip it. They're gonna
you know what else?
And you have to do it.
Getting back to like your original topic, which was discipline, just imagine how that the amount of referrals and disruptions in your class would lessen if you made it interactive. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to come. You brought the watermelon in today. I want to see what you're going to do tomorrow.
What I'm going to do tomorrow?
I'm not going to act up because I want to be in class.
Exactly. You took me outside and lit the hood up.
Look, my little third graders, we had a doggone tent sitting up in the middle of that room. A tent.
Love it.
A tent.
I love it.
Yes, we had a tent. That tent was about how houses are built. And we talked about how you got to measure and all that good stuff. We do that tent for everything. Now, trust me, they try to do some inappropriate stuff in that tent. I had to get them out of that tent several times. But tell me this, what opportunity did that present? Me to help them understand social skills as well. You know, you can't treat these kids. We have a new student today. We don't have the 1950 kid. We don't have even the 1970.
And we have to teach it as such. We
have a brand new student today that's not gonna wear nothing but slides and some old ugly, dirty, doggone pants,
and a hoodie,
jogging pants and a hoodie. I'm asking them. I know your mama done bought you some clothes. Y'all didn't fool me not one bit. But that's all they want to wear. So I stopped fighting them on that.
Right.
And I told them, I started showing them how to dress. I said, this is what
and you show them.
I said, you can put on your polo with that. And they would try it.
Okay.
Didn't criticize them. I just showed them, it's another way you can dress.
And show them. Right, exactly. There is another way.
I ain't got in the khakis yet. I'm trying to get them the khakis.
Well, that's gonna be a hard one when you break that in.
I'm gonna send y'all some pictures. I'm saying, look, y'all, they finally start wearing khakis.
But see the influence of a male educator.
There you go. And women, let me tell you something. Women, you can say what you want. Most women want them a strong man.
Yes.
I think women would politely just say, look, my wife told me the very same thing. She said, I am not trying to fight you about nothing. As long as you show what you're supposed to be doing in this house, know, I want you to do it. I'm so burden free. And it's not like my wife don't know what's going on, because she do. We're co-partners. We decide everything together. But my wife knows when there's a vote and it's a tie vote, I get to break the vote. And then I take responsibility too. Yeah. I don't if it go wrong, then she gonna be, I told you.
Yeah. Because we love to say I told you.
I told you. You just one turn when I told you. Now you're lost and looking crazy.
I love it. Okay, so because we're almost at an hour, this was a great conversation.
It
really was, y'all. We got to do another one.
We do. We definitely will plan this soon. Okay. Definitely. So now, before we end, though, Mr. E, what advice would you give a young man thinking about entering education?
I would say make sure, look, because I don't want to sound religious. You know, we can really sound religious. I can't stand religion. But
Okay.
I'm going to be practical, and I'm going to use the Bible as a backdrop, because that's how my world concept is formed.
Okay.
I would say to him, make sure that you have a good understanding about where you are spiritually, and
Okay.
whether you're ready to go down this road or not, because it's not going to be all about fun and games and having tents in the room. It's not. There were times that I want to just throw myself on. I can't do this no more.
Yeah, I can't. Right.
But I took myself into a place where satisfaction did not only come from going through, it came from just sticking with something. If you get involved, young man, if you take that first course, don't stop because it get hard. Go on, finish the coursework. Finish the coursework. We got so many men that's coming, hadn't finished the coursework, and now they won't hire you unless you have that coursework completed.
Right.
So please, even if you got a degree in something else, go do the coursework. Get the training. Get that training. And if you're passionate about it, come on in, jump in. The water is fine.
That's right.
We still making a difference. And let me tell you something that I realized. Everybody's life is touched by an educator.
Everybody.
Obama, any famous person you want to think of right now. Anybody. Abraham Lincoln, anybody. Frederick Douglass. As a matter of fact, Frederick Douglass was my favorite. Now, you talking about a hype educator. Frederick Douglass is one of my favorite educators and has inspired me the most, because Frederick Douglass said, and I would say to these young men, without the struggle, you're not going to have any progress. So don't give up. Stick with it.
That's right. That's right.
If you don't struggle, it ain't gonna be no progress. But if you struggling and you quit, your struggle was for nothing.
Yeah,
you just struggle.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah. And I can attest to that after 30 years. So yes.
Her 30 years.
Not that young girl face right there. 30 years.
This one right here.
That one right there.
Stop. You capping. I know you capping.
She's not.
You capping.
No cap. No.
No cap.
No, I mean, really, life has been good to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. But that's what education does, though, right? When you're in the right, when you align with your purpose.
And the kids will keep you useful,
Now, Now, if you're not aligned with your purpose, your hair gonna be gray, wrinkles.
Well, I do have a little gray. It's just colored a little bit, but it's all good.
You're gonna be ugly, because they're gonna beat it out of you. They're gonna beat it out of you.
I'm done. You can tell the tired teachers, right?
You can see how fast those men age when they become president. Yeah,
yes.
That part.
Oh my goodness. Well, Mr. E, thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom, your heart, the truth. Okay, that was I really loved it.
And what an added bonus to have Miss Lewis to contribute to the conversation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. And y'all didn't double team me. I'm so pleased that y'all did not double team Mr. E today.
No.
Next time y'all gonna come for me, right?
The male was the focal point, so we couldn't do that to you.
I tell you what, y'all, let's all start. I try to keep my campaign going to try to recruit as many, not just young men. We need those seasoned men as well.
Yes.
And not just about color. We need men, period. We need good, solid men to come in, especially elementary.
Yeah.
Because I rolled up to middle, and because I know what the need is now. That's why I'm so adamant about getting young men to go into elementary, because those kids need to be solid when they get to 6th grade.
Before they get there, yes.
At that time, they're gonna change. They're gonna change dramatically. Those hormones gonna kick in.
Can I ask one favor before you, just because I heard you say something? Because it's also, the thing of retaining teachers. And I say that because, and like Nakia said a few minutes ago, that's a topic. That's probably a 2-hour topic.
We need to talk about that topic too. How do we keep them?
Yes. Right.
Real
quick, my daughter's 5th grade teacher, she stayed in for 3 years and she left. She was like, I can't do this.
That's happening a lot, Miss Lewis. That's happening a lot.
Yes. And then, schools that I have been at, they'll come and they'll be like, this too much. Like, and
Yeah.
I'm out. And I
Mhm.
can say, from when I started to today, it's definitely different. So, what I would ask you, and like I said, again, this is another topic, kind of getting off topic, but could you just, when you talk to your administrator friends, talk about some different things that would help to retain the teachers? Because just not just my school, but just with my teacher friends across the different counties, we talk about those things that go on in our school and what is being asked
Hey,
of us to
look
do.
at me going straight to my notebook. Point well taken.
Yeah,
I am
just you
definitely,
know because
definitely
that
would
runs
definitely.
that
That's
runs
so
them
important.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
And people like me that have more on the back end and the front end, like we're gonna stay here. And or those people that have the true passion, we're gonna stay. But what is it that is keeping them there? You know what I'm saying? Is it okay? I
Right.
know we have to do A, B, and C, but can you let go D, E, and F? Like that might
Right.
just make the difference. Just
Yeah.
as an administrator yourself, if
and
you could just
what I do, Miss Lewis, is this is because they because I am a hype educator, but so they say, well, Mr. E, we so much appreciate the fact how you just bring that vibe in school every day. I mean, you just treat everybody, with so much care and respect, like family, right? So I say, until we start changing that culture in our school, some of our school cultures is toxic. Who wants to be in a
Yeah.
toxic school culture?
Nobody.
I don't. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm gonna be like what Barack said. He said, become the change you want to see.
See.
So I go ahead and I just like try to be positive, even in the midst of a storm of negativity, even in the
Yes.
midst of the storm of because an administrator catch it on both sides. You can't play the middle. You can
Right.
try, but you won't. So you're gonna have to be that instructional leader. At the same time, you're gonna have to discipline too.
Yes.
You're gonna have to talk to some teachers about some issues that they may not
Mhm.
want you talk. So
Yes.
that's why you don't become friends and stuff. You
Mhm.
Right.
retain that level of respect and that warmth, but you do not become friends because they will never
Agreed.
respect you when you got to say to them that lesson was trash.
Right.
Mhm.
Get better.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
know good
Because then
well
they take it out personally.
you didn't address not one element of that standard. You wouldn't do it in that tone for sure.
Right.
But y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yes. I know.
You have to create a culture where you can have those tough conversations.
Yes.
Yes. I was just
Yes.
about to say you have to build a relationship because
Relationship.
today you might be telling me that was a wonderful lesson, but today I got to tell you that was a crappy lesson, and
Exactly.
you have to be able to receive it
Yeah.
because
Receive
Receive
it.
it.
if you're a good teacher, you probably already know that lesson wasn't worth nothing.
You
But
You
already
would
know. You
already
just what did
know.
I tell you?
Yeah. You
You
already know, and you
yeah.
don't
You
take
know
it
good well them
personally.
dinosaurs that have
Right.
nothing to do with
But you
with
but you
nothing.
will make sure the next time
But
you're
you
gonna get
love them
on your back.
dinosaurs.
right,
Yeah.
Yes.
right. But
But
but the relationships that you build allow you to talk to each other
Yes.
even though, like you said, you can't be friends, but it's essentially that
Respectful
is the friendship.
relationships.
Yeah, exactly. That is
and you
that
know how people
friendship,
church
or like
hop,
you
they
said.
hop from one church to the other one. You got teachers that are hop from one school to the other one because they don't want nobody saying nothing about their instruction.
Feeling. Right.
Hmm.
They take it
They're not
personal.
ready to
Instead of
grow.
taking
That's
it
real growth.
professional. And I'm telling
Yeah.
you, my principals, especially at Bowie, I was so green, y'all. I was too green. Y'all, I was doing some of the stupidest stuff. You wouldn't believe it. Up there just telling my own personal stories in front of them kids. Yeah. When I'm back on the farm,
You told them the farm stories?
I told them the farm story and the way pigs gave birth. Them kids was like, what? That teacher was like, my principal was like, what did that have to do with that lesson? Y'all know what I'm saying.
But you learned from it.
Somebody had to tell me the truth.
Yeah, somebody had to say it. But look,
And you
this
had
is
to
it, 'cause I'm
receive
one of
it too.
those.
Yes,
Right, and you had to receive
but
it.
let me tell you something, Lewis. I did that at the beginning because you know how that male ego is.
Oh, really? See, I'm
Ooh,
one of
yeah.
those. I get mad. I'm like, I need you to come in my room and tell me. I
Look,
want to know.
y'all, I
I
didn't get
chase
set
them like,
free
where's my
until I
observation
read a
notes?
book that said the ego is not your friend.
Oh my! But I
That book
understand.
set me free. I
But
was
that's
now
some
I'm able
advice
to,
for men.
yeah.
But look at where you are now though,
Because I
because
had to
you
I had to
Because
dethrone that ego. That ego
yes,
is a hot mess. I'm thinking
yes,
about I'm trying to operate on who I think I am instead of listening to some people that was giving me some good advice to try to make me a better
They can
version
make it
of
better.
myself, a
Yep.
better version of a male.
Yes.
Yeah, you know,
Agreed.
the men don't think sometimes they, especially when it's somebody close to you, like your wife,
Right.
you don't want to hear nothing.
You're like, what do you know?
It was my wife who encouraged me to go back to get my diseducation. So my wife has been so supportive. Yeah,
Look at
she's
that.
my rock,
Yes.
man. She's that rock. She
Yes.
is my girl. I mean,
Look at that.
it enriched our relationship so much because she loves education like I do, even though she's not. You know, Hype. She's
Right.
not in education, but she loves education.
But she loves it. She has a
She
passion for it just
does.
as much.
Mhm.
Yes. Oh,
And
that's
she
great.
love her, and she loves seeing her man still working too.
That's right. Pay those bills.
Pay them bills. You got it. You got it, man. Like she get home now she sits home and spin it. I make it. She spin it.
Oh, I love it. That's the life. Yes. But look, guys, look, this was great. This was awesome. I love it. I think one of our main things that we need to say is representation does matter. And we need more males.
Break them stereotypes.
Yes,
break them stereotypes.
If you are an educator or you think, let's put it this way, if you are thinking of being an educator and you're a male, come on, join us. Join us.
Come on.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
And not so much that, let me tell you something, education will go on without you, but think about the impact you can make, personally, you could make, and the little lives that you could change. And you people think that they don't make a difference. Come to education, you'll see.
And you'll see. And be a hype educator. Be a hype educator like us.
Oh, shout out to the hype educators.
All right, guys. This was great. I love you all dearly.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Yes.
I almost called you Dr. Lewis.
I'll take it. I will take all of it. Yes, I will take all. And it was nice meeting you, Mr.
Nice
E.
meeting you. Enjoyed the conversation. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Love y'all. Take good care.
Bye.
All right. Bye.